And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
I'll alert the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Welcome to a special episode today on International Whiskey Day. We have the owner, founder of American West Spirits Company here on today with us to tell us a little bit about everything they're doing. They sent us a cool little care package, so we opened that up. We do the whole thing with them here. We want to do more of these. So if you're a distiller, whatever, and you want to, send us some stuff and do a whole podcast episode, like, we'd love to hear from you, because we started doing some of that a long, long time ago, and then we stopped for whatever reason, but we'd love to get back into it because we had such a great time here with this one. So AmericanWestSpirits.com is the website. They are giving our listeners a 20% off link, more or less. It's whiskey 20 at checkout. It's a code, not a link, a code. Whiskey 20 at checkout. It's their biggest discount they've ever done for our listeners. AmericanWestSpirits.com is the website. And we just we hope you enjoy the show. So sit back, relax, and happy International Whiskey Day. Cheers, guys. Get out and come back in. It'll correct itself.
Copy.
So so this is kind of a show. I'm going to let you kind of like take the wheels. Tell us like a little bit about you and what you've done here and what we're doing and why you're here and all that. Like how do you get into this?
Yeah. So man, it's been a journey. We're first generation ranchers. As far as I know, like my great grandparents had some farmland out in Kansas, just, raising stuff for their use. So we kind of got into this back in 2016. We bought some property up in northern Colorado, and for the first couple of years, it was just we have a little bit of irrigated acreage, and we'd put up some hay, and someone would sharecrop it, take the hay, we'd sell the rest, and it barely covered the irrigation water. So after a couple seasons of that, I just had the idea to try to raise some cattle here on our home property, and pitched it to the wife, and I said, hey, there's so much out there that's misleading to consumers about, how the animals are raised, what actually goes into them. We run a 100% pasture, all grass operation. So, there's just so much marketing BS to try to sort through. So we're like, hey, we'll buy some cattle, put them here, raise them how God intended for, animals to be stewarded. And it just kind of went from there. And that was in 2016, 2019. I wound up retiring out of the fire department after an injury that I'd had a few years earlier. I tried to stick it out, but it wasn't happening. At that time, I said, man, there's nothing else I want to do than ranch. And we'd grown a little bit, but it was more for like my family and friends and coworkers at the firehouse or my wife's school. They wanted to be a part of that, buy some beef. So they'd buy a quarter and then maybe the next year buy a half. So I think we were running still single digit at the time. I think we might have had 9 animals. And then just looked around for some property to lease and grew it from there. And we've been doing that, full time since 2019. And then my wife was a full-time teacher. She spun off, started creating some skincare products, the beef tallow. I don't know if you heard that. It's all the rage, the whipped body tallow.
Really? No shit.
It's great stuff. It's amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's not just for the ladies, fellas. It's good stuff. So she started doing that full time. She's been at it a year, doing her own things. We're just grinding away, and through her shop, we have stuff like honey and, beekeeper keeps the bees here on the property. So we do honey. She has like a sourdough starter. She's celiac. So she wanted to do a gluten-free sourdough starter. So it's quick and easy. You can stick it in the mail, send it to someone, they rehydrate it, they can make their own sourdough bread.
No
So
shit.
kind of evolved like a little store like that, little farm goods. We have some coffee on there, and so I mean, as far as cowboys go, man, what else? What else do you need,
Dude,
right? We got
you
beef,
know,
coffee, whiskey.
all right. I say it all the time where it's like, I come into these episodes not knowing much, and I do that intentionally. And like, I'm sure everybody's kind of getting sick of it, but like getting sick of hearing me saying it. But like the, you know, the quality of guests I've been getting lately, like I feel like I have to say it over and over again because every week or every episode is a brand new set of eyes, right? And I love learning, right? I was a history major in school, so like I love the nitty gritty. Like,
That's what my wife taught, history. Yeah, cool.
right. So like give me the boring shit, right? Right. Or the boring stuff to me is like fascinating as all hell, right? But I don't think we've ever had somebody that does what you do on here the way you do it, right? So I have a question.
Yeah.
And only because I've seen it around here. But like if somebody were to come to you and say, "Hey, I want to buy a cow. I want you to prepare it the whole 9 yards." One whole cow. How long could that feed a standard family of 4?
Oh, wow. I would probably steer people. No pun intended with the steer. I would recommend that people not do a whole cow unless it was a family of 4 that eats a lot of red meat and had like
Okay.
2 high school boys. That's a lot, and I feel like everybody's always digging through the freezer. By the end of that year, you're probably banging packages around. You get a little hole in them; they get freezer burnt. We like it to stay fresh, so I would probably say I'd tell them start off with a half and then go. That said, we try to. I'll get back to the why we don't currently have beef in stock right now, but we would recommend that people get enough to try to last them for that year. Uh,
Okay.
just because we only process in the summer months, but I don't want them to have like too much, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I like to do that is because we calve in the spring, and so at about that 3-year mark, those animals are approaching 3 years in the spring. That's the spring flush, right? You're getting all the good grass, all the good nutrition. If you're processing an animal in the middle of winter while they're trying to keep uh, calories on and stay warm, they're pretty lean. Hay, it's been put up. It has less vitamins and nutrients, minerals, all that stuff in it than it would if they were eating fresh grass. So we like to process the animal when they're at their peak and they're getting the best nutrition, because then that correlates to the meat and then what you guys get as a consumer. So that's where we're at. You asked how we got into the whiskey. So to rewind a little bit, for those that may not follow livestock and agriculture news, a few years back, there was a big hike in prices for livestock. So we were set up doing, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, so I'll just explain it for the listeners. We were set up to do what's called a stocker operation. So we would purchase cattle that are about 6 months of age. That's right when they get weaned from the mom, and then we would buy those, and we'd buy 15 to 20 a year, processed at 15 to 20 a year. And so after a few years, once we got the first group to slaughter weight, just a revolving door, and we had a nice little thing going. Well, those animals went from $700-800 to about $2600-2700, and yeah, so it's pretty nuts. We were like, oh, that's not good. So we pivoted a little bit and started what's called cow calf. So basically, we breed our cows. They have the calves. If they're steers, we keep those for beef. The heifers we hold back until they're old enough to breed them. So we've been growing our herd. In the spring, if all 26 of the mamas that we have are bred, calve successfully, will be at about 70, just under 75 head. And so we've grown quite a bit. And yeah, we just at this point don't have beef to sell. We might have 1 or 2 this year or next year, but not enough to sustain the business. So just looking for ways to produce some goods that are in line with our Western values, and just kind of, this was more to give back to. I really like to shout out people in the industry, and we're working with some people that are really good, photographers, Western photographers, other ranchers, people in the industry, just trying to highlight them, make it a community thing. It's not just about us, not just, hey, buy our whiskey so we can make money, but the goal would be ultimately to get to a point where we can donate a little bit of those proceeds to companies that organizations that actually keep land and ranching, because What part of town? What part of the country are you in?
So we're in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. So I think it's probably fair to say, no matter where you're at, you can see, when you're somewhere for a long period of time, you're just like, wow, that used to be a ranch or a farm, and now it's a subdivision, right? So you see that kind of coast to coast, and I don't think they ever come in and say, let's dig up this subdivision and put a ranch in, right? It doesn't.
Right.
Once that land's lost, it's lost for good. So we need to hold on to a little bit more of it, to kind of keep that Western way of life going. And like I said, I wasn't born into it. It's really hard to get into as a first generation, but we love it and we want to see it stick around for our kid and our grandkids.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like you're talking about the aesthetic, right? Like what you've done here, everything is gorgeous. Like
Thanks.
the pictures, like even like I've opened this up, but like we're gonna open it up with you because that's what that's what I told you I was gonna do. So that's what I'm gonna do. But let's get into the whiskey side of it because I haven't done much whiskey stuff in a while. And what the hell? Why not? Right. So like you guys sent me this beauty, right? And I gotta say, it is gorgeous. And thank you so much for sending it over.
Yeah.
It's heavy as all hell.
Yeah, it's a stout bottle. That's what I was kind of going for. Is like something that's not a lot of elegance to it, but it looks like a stout bottle to be sitting in an old time saloon.
Yeah, and like these, I keep everything pretty meticulous because I'm anal retentive. But like even these glasses, like I don't know how much of a glare we're getting, but
It looks
like
good. It looks good.
These are gorgeous too. Like, how did you come up with the look and the feel of all this?
So we had a pretty good designer that we worked with, on the branding side of things, and just kind of kicked back a few things, and then that's just what developed. That's what we're after. I wanted it to have that kind of old school look, but refined. So I think we did a good job making it not too busy. And if you're ever at a bar or restaurant and you're sitting there looking at the whiskey selection, a lot of the labels look pretty similar in color, pretty similar in design. I just wanted to do something, especially since we're focusing on direct to consumer through online sales, something that had a little more, style to it.
Yeah, I mean, because it does stand out, right? Like it's like, I mean, you said this is what we have, right?
Yep, the bourbon, and
like it's almost like this is like something you put on your wall for how nice it looks, right?
That's the hope.
And it's so, I told you, you're not going to get like a bullshit review here, Josh. It's not going to.
No. I don't ever want one. I like. Everybody's got a different palate. It's hard to come up with something that pleases everybody. But I think the wife and I, we're foodies. I mean, that's why we want to start raising our own beef, and we're pretty hard to please. Like we hardly ever go out because I like to cook. We buy some good stuff, and most of the time it's a letdown. So we like to say that we put our name on it. We're not cutting corners. We're using good ingredients. Your mash bill on that one, 75% yellow corn. It's all non-GMO. The 20% rye on that one, and then the barley is actually organic. So or the malt, excuse me. So we try to do well with the rye and the whiskey, and just put out a good product, man. That's what we're about. We don't like to cut corners.
So what you're telling me is this is healthy, right?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, it's healthy.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh,
right,
now we're going to get in trouble with the FDA, right?
Right. I'm not going to try this the way that the whiskey bourbon snobby community is going to want me to do it. I'm going to drink this the way I would drink it if I was going out.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to do with that because, picture going out and like when we do like cattle drives up in the national forest and stuff like that, right? You're up there maybe for a day or two. And you're laying out under the stars, and you just can bring a few things with you, like a decent sized flask. You want something that you can enjoy, not something that's going to knock you out, super high proof or like, something that you need to put with like you said, a special snifter glass or on the rocks. You know what I mean? You just want a smooth drinking whiskey. And so that's what we were after with this bourbon whiskey.
Like I'm a big on the rocks guy. Like I'm a big puss. Like I can't do it straight 90% of the time. Like even I just can't. It's just that's not the palate I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot smoother than I was expecting.
And I can't see because the screen froze up. But did you go straight from the bottle, or did you put a little in a glass?
No, I got it in a glass with
Okay,
rocks.
so you let it breathe a little bit.
Yeah, and this is good. This is really good.
Thank
It's got a great taste to it.
thank you, thank you.
Like, like I've gotten into the world of like old fashions and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
but like even this by itself would be great. I wouldn't mix this with very much.
right.
I'd probably put it in an old fashioned for sure because it's got a little bit of that. To me, it's got a little bit of that sweetness that I like to it. And that's where the rye comes in for me.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, this is real good. Like how long did it take you to get to this point? Like where it was this is how you wanted it to taste.
So we partner with an incredible local distillery that has, we've known them since we moved up to these parts. So going on 10 years, and you know, select and develop some certain barrels out of the production there. So a lot of that legwork's already done for us. I'm not a professional distiller. I leave that to the people that do that full time. I'm out trying to grow cattle, not you know not make the bourbon. But we definitely go in there and pick out the ones that we like the best, and yeah, go from there. Focus on the branding and the mission.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. Like it's
Glad you like it.
yeah, me
Get a
too.
little
Because
bit of
that's
that
always awkward
warm,
when you don't.
little vanilla, a little black tea, a little honey.
Yeah,
It's kind of got some different. Like I think if people hear you say, a little bit sweeter or smooth, a lot of the whiskey enthusiasts look at the like a 4 year whiskey, and they want something that's aged, and they want something that's maybe higher proof. That's just too much for me. Where I think it's like Starbucks coffee, right? They over roast the heck out of everything, and that's
yeah,
all you're tasting. And
yeah,
so a lot of those higher end whiskeys that are 12 year, whatever and up, man, it's just I can't find too many of them that I enjoy to sip on.
yeah, yeah. I know. I agree. It's funny you say that because I used to, for the longest time, like I would just drink beer. Like, and then one day I remember being younger, and I tried a Guinness for the first time. Could not, for the life of me, get it down. Like to me, it tasted burnt. It was just not good, right? And within the last year, I started drinking them again, and I can't drink any other beer because it's like,
Mm.
it's weird how the taste change, right?
Right.
And even when I started getting into bourbons and whiskeys and stuff, like I found I was more of a rye guy. Like I like ryes a lot, and I think a lot of it is because of that sweetness. And this is fantastic. You know,
I'm
I'm
glad,
I'm
I'm glad you
I,
like it, man.
I am too because it's like I said, I was gonna tell you straight.
Yeah,
So it's
no,
better that I do like it than if I was like, Josh, this sucks.
yeah, no. Well, I would hope we wouldn't put anything out that was too bad, not drinkable. But like I said, you're not going to please everybody. It's like politics. Some people are going to like one, some people are going to like the other. I like the bourbon for just straight sipping. The rye, see, if I'd have known you're a rye guy, I would have sent you. Well, I can still send you one of the ryes. See, the rye is both of these are aged around 4.5 years. It's not just the calendar says it's time to bottle. It's when it gets to where it needs to be to bottle it. But the rye is then aged with Vermont maple barrel staves, and I always tell people like I don't want to turn them off thinking it's sweet, but it has a touch of that maple flavor to it.
Mm,
And what I hate is every time I go to a restaurant or a bar, it's I won't order an old fashioned if it has bar ice in it. It's got to have the big cubes like you have there, because otherwise it's watered down in an instant. So with the old fashions, I always tell the people when I order, without even trying, I can go somewhere I've never even had them make me an old fashioned. I'll say half of whatever you use to sweeten it, whether it's simple syrup, whatever, because they just make it way too sweet. You can't even taste the whiskey. So when I make my old fashions here at home, and my wife damn near won't drink any others, I use just a pinch of maple syrup, the bitters, and then that rye whiskey. And rye stands up to mixed drinks, I think, a little bit better because it has that rye in it.
yeah, I get it.
That little bit of maple in there makes it to where you don't have to go put 2 ounces of simple syrup in it to drink the thing. So I really enjoy the rye as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I have old fashions, it's always rye. Like
Yeah.
it's for me, like I've done it with bourbon, obviously, and all that, but the rye, whenever I have it with rye, there's just something about it. It just makes it
Hmm.
that much better.
Yeah. Have you? What about black or Manhattans or black Manhattans? See, I've kind of went over to like I was like, well, I can mix my rye with right like the simple syrup, or you mix it with another good liquor, like the vermouth, sweet vermouth for a Manhattan. But then black Manhattans I started getting into, and those are they do the whiskey with the Amaro and stuff. Those are just phenomenal flavor profiles. So if you haven't tried a black Manhattan, next time you go out, ask them to make you one of those. See how you like that compared to the old
Yeah,
fashioned. Let me know.
I'll have to. I'll have to because I've never had a Manhattan either.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
yeah, just straight. Yeah, like
I like it better because it's not sugar water, sweetening the drink. It's vermouth. It's a sweet vermouth. So and then it's you could do a little bit less. It's not even parts, right? So you do 2 ounces of bourbon and then maybe a half ounce of the vermouth or whatever you like.
yeah. Next time I go out, I'll have to do that
Right there.
because whenever there's a whiskey or bourbon or a rye drink that catches the eye on a menu, like that's what I'm going for.
There you go.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely something I'm gonna have to try because it's like, I'm a big Bullet rye guy.
Yeah.
Bullet to me makes the best
OG.
rye. Right.
OG. Yeah, yeah.
Like when you get a taste for something like that, like it's hard to, when you go out somewhere and you're like when you ask, do you have Bullet rye? And they say no, it's like, well, then forget it. I'm not gonna, you know, I I know a lot of people that do the Knob Creek rye and shit like that. And I was like, I can't even do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Just not me.
it's I didn't have any obviously jumping into the whiskey business, right? I wasn't looking to take over and compete with those guys because those guys have been around for a long time, huge marketing budgets. From day one, our goal wasn't just to put a whiskey out. It was to kind of create a bottle that represents the culture, and like I said, kind of create that community around it. So, um, you know, that's where we're at with that whole thing. So hopefully we've done good, and yeah, we'll see. We're only, I think, not even 3 months in, so still brand new.
Yeah. Now, did you have any kind of knowledge in any of this before getting into it, or?
Well, I used to make so like you said, you're a beer guy. I used to do my own beer back before. Once my wife found out that she had celiac disease, couldn't do the gluten. I kind of it's easier to just and nowadays I don't even miss it, but it's easier to kind of do that same diet because for a while there it was like we had two separate toasters, two separate pans, making two separate meals. It was just too much. So, but I used to actually do a lot of the home brewery stuff, do some wine. My dad, when he was alive, like he came from a Pennsylvania Italian family. They do a lot of homemade wine. So, put a couple carboys of wine in the pantry and some beer, and I enjoyed doing that. So the process is similar, right? When you're starting the product. So vaguely familiar with the basics, but the distillers, they're the distiller that we work with, just in my mind, a master distiller, but I wouldn't want to try to compete with that.
Yeah. Now, did you go through a lot of did you go through other distillers? Like, did you go like and taste
Nope,
and try
nope,
the, no.
nope, nope. When I first tried these products, what did I say, 2016, I've loved this stuff ever since. And we would put some ranch labels. We had some ranch labels made up, and then we didn't have any way to sell the alcohol because I didn't have a liquor license. But we'd put our label on it, and then when someone would buy like a whole beef, we'd give them a bottle of whiskey, kind of as a marketing thing. And so we've been kind of dipping our toe in it for a while. But then people are like, "Hey, that was good. Can I get a bottle of that?" And I was like, "Oh, don't even get in trouble with the ATF." So it was more of just a marketing thing back then, and we'd have an annual beast feast, like customer appreciation party, smoking meat and having a bunch of people out, live music, all that fun stuff. And we'd, have a bunch of bottles of it for everybody to drink. So it went from sort of just like the ranch, it went from kind of like a hobby to a full-time gig here. So we shall see.
So how can anybody can in your local area, can you go to the store and get this, or is this all just online?
It's all online right now, and so I have to find the time to be able to get out and do the legwork. It's a lot of legwork to get around to these different, bars, restaurants, distributors, and try to get them to carry your stuff. Things are before they get busy here in the calving season. I'm hoping to get out, make my rounds, kind of introduce myself, and see if we can't get some on the shelves there so people can try it. But right now, it's just American West Spirit Company, right online. I'll give you a couple discount codes that when you post the podcast or throw it to the socials, we can throw a couple discount codes on
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
And, yeah. So just ordering straight off the old internet, which is awesome that you could do that these days, right? Just Amazon you some whiskey. Get
That's true.
straight to the house.
Right. You don't even have to go out anymore. That's great. So what is if you said you're only a few months into this, but if you were to, where would you want to be with this time next year?
Well, I'd like to see the sales continue to climb, obviously, right? So that we're actually making a little bit of money on it. It's hard when you start a business and don't have a lot of capital, right? You got a lot of costs associated with it, and so I just want to be able to get in the red or in the black a little bit there and see where we're at, and hopefully get it into those bars and restaurants and go from there. See the following grow through the socials. Just kind of just like any other business, right? Just get a few more customers. Maybe some concerts and some rodeos, do some sponsorship work and things like that. So,
I mean, it has the taste, it has the appeal, it has the look. Like, honestly, there's no telling what can happen with this. It's a great product.
thank you. I appreciate that big time. And there's a lot of competition out there. Like I said, you look at most of the rodeos or whatever. I mean, you're competing with Jack Daniels or Pendleton, big things like that. But I think I would prefer to focus on the smaller venues, right? That's kind of my wheelhouse. I like the smaller venues. I'm not looking to get it out there mainstream.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that too. Like the smaller stuff, that's where you're really gonna make the most noise.
Well, and we like like on the beef side of things, like my heart and soul is genuinely wanting to put good food in good people's freezers. That's it, right? So, if we got bigger on the beef side of things and some company wanted to come along and buy us out, like that's good for some people, but I enjoy the work. I enjoy what I'm doing. What am I going to do if I don't have that? You sell that and then what? So I like kind of the blue collar crowd and local, and that's kind of what we're going to stick with.
Yeah. So you're in Colorado, right?
Yeah, northern Colorado.
I gotta get there. I've never been to Colorado. I want to go out there so bad and see it.
Yeah, come on down. We got a place for you to stay. Give you a little tour.
Don't tempt me with whiskey and beef and
Yeah, that's what I wish. That's what Colorado was more known for, right? Whiskey and beef. I would love that.
Yeah.
But no, Colorado's a great place. Beautiful, beautiful state.
So northern Colorado, what's that close? Are you closer to like I'm trying to picture the map in my brain. Like, what's the closest like major city to you? Would it still be
Fort Collins, where Colorado State University is? We're about a half hour north of there. But I always tell people we're an hour north of Denver and roughly 30 minutes south of Cheyenne. So,
okay,
right along that I-25 corridor.
Gotcha. How's the weather been out there?
Scary. It's been super warm, which
Really?
Yeah, I was. My dad was an air traffic controller. Got stationed in Hawaii when I was born, so I was out there for the first couple of years of my life. I'm 46 now, so 44 of those years have been spent as a Colorado native, and I do not remember a winter coming close to the winter we just had. I mean, like today it was 65. I think tomorrow's going to be 65. Like a foot of snow equates to like an inch of rain. I don't even think we've had a foot of snow on the Front Range here all winter long. Ski resorts are hurting. They're not even. Well, I don't think now they will be, but they didn't get to 100% capacity to open up everything. They didn't even really have decent weather to make snow at a lot of resorts. So it's just been unseasonably warm, which is doesn't bode well for livestock producers who count on that water to irrigate crops and grass and all that. So we'll see. Hopefully we get some crazy spring weather that just brings a lot of moisture, a lot of rain, but going to be buying a lot of hay, and it's going to be pretty expensive if that doesn't change pretty quick.
Right. Like we just, as we're talking, we just got, 2.5 feet of snow in our area. Like it's, yeah.
Over what time frame?
A day, couple of hours.
Whoa, yeah. Goodness.
Yeah. We got blasted. You and I are talking about this today, Thursday.
Yeah.
Sunday into Monday, we got, late Sunday night. It started up here about 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Wow.
And it didn't stop snowing until, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon on Monday.
And that was 2.5 feet.
Yeah, we got 2.5 feet.
Yeah, we need that desperately here. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, you can come here and grab it.
yeah,
We'll give it to you.
They probably need to truck it out of there.
Yeah.
Or
And
out.
like from what I gather, we're supposed to get another foot next week.
Wow.
There's nowhere for us to put it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's so dense around here. There's nowhere to put it.
That's what's crazy. We looked at this was years ago, but we went out to like New York to look at some property. I had a friend moving out there, and because they do get moisture, so it was like, well, let's go see out there. They get pretty good precipitation. But we were out there in the spring and probably spent a whole week. Didn't see the sun once. It was just cloudy. My wife wasn't having it because Colorado gets more sunny days than any other state, I think, in this great nation. So that was like, oh man, pretty gloomy. And I said, yeah, that's why they have grass for the cattle to eat, right? Because they actually get precipitation. But the winter, they got those crazy plows that are V-shaped, and they just blast right down the middle of the road, throw it off to the sides, and that stuff stays there for a long time. Whereas in Colorado, when we do get at least up at elevation in the mountains, it's a different story. But down here on the Front Range, if we got like a foot of snow any winter, not just this winter that was warm, it's usually gone by the next week or two, unless you get the front come through. Yeah, because it'll be. I mean, I've seen 1 week it's snow and next week people are out golfing. Because the sun will come out, clear skies, no wind, it just melts right off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Like even like today here was pretty mild for what we've had. It was probably in the low 40s, and then I was outside walking around in shorts because it felt like because it's been cold here, like real cold, and we haven't had much snow in the last 4 or 5 years. So but we're making up for it over the last couple of weeks, that's for sure.
Man, the weather's crazy all over the place with all the cloud seeding. Everybody spraying all that whatever aluminum or whatever in the out of the planes. You just look up and see those, and you're like, oh, what the heck? And then get some weird weather patterns come in after that. I think it's, well, who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's all cyclical, but it seems like it's pretty screwy all over the place. You know what I mean? Like once you start tampering with something to swing it one way, it comes back the other way, and just it's been nuts here.
Yeah, I'm over it. That's for sure. I've never seen snow like we just got in my life.
And you've been there how long?
My whole life. I've lived here I'll be 39 next week. I have never seen anything like this.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, you're getting all the snow, and Colorado's getting none of it.
Yeah, trust me. I was looking at a video that I took last year this time, in sweatshirts and shorts at this point. Like there's no snow. There was just no snow last year or the year before.
That's scary too, because that's not going to nationally the amount of cattle in this country is a 75-year low. So that's why the whole thing with the whole argument about bringing in Argentina beef, trying to offset that, get beef prices down. I mean, we just simply don't have the numbers to do what we were doing 5-10 years ago. And so now, how are ranchers going to hold on to these heifer calves and grow the herds and get those numbers back up to get out of that 75-year low when you have just extreme drought and drought forecasted for the next 3 to 6 months? It's just it's tough. We'll see what happens, but it's not looking good from a livestock perspective.
No, not at all. Now, let me ask you something really cliche and probably stupid, but in the ranching world, right? How much of it is like you see on TV and different TV shows and stuff like that? Like, is there any element of it that's accurate?
I mean, I think it depends on the TV show. I always joke with people when I say, like, I was a firefighter before 9/11, and I was already ranching and cowboying before Yellowstone came about. I think there's probably maybe like a little less than half, because they do, like, especially with Yellowstone. Take Yellowstone for an example. They try to hire some real cowboys in there, and Taylor Sheridan, he grew up with some ranch background, cowboy background. So I mean, they do their best, right? Just like if it's a military show, right? They're trying to hire people that are ex-military or that have been in that world to make it look realistic for the cinema. And I think there's a lot of that in there. Now the storylines are definitely a little bit out there, but by and large, I think probably 50-50.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean they try to get the whole the dress code right and the mannerisms and like you got the guys joking in the bunkhouse, that kind of thing, all those things. I think those are pretty spot on, but obviously like all the drama that they have to do to keep people hooked is a little out there, but is what it
So
is.
do you have ranch hands that are on property all time?
These are my ranch hands, man. It's just us. We're a small operation. It's my wife and I, and then when we do some of the bigger events like brandings and some of the roundups where we have to get the cattle from one property to the next. I got a lot of good friends that love to just come and help out and get their hands dirty. So, just put a call out and get 5-10 people come help out. Thankfully, we have that because there's no budget to hire anybody else. And most of the time, it's fairly easy. I can handle it. I do it full time. The wife helps me, whenever I need it. And then our son just joined the Army back in August, so he wants to go do the Army Ranger thing. So he was helping up until then. But yeah, there's no ranch hands. Just a couple people that if we have to, like when we went to his graduation out in Georgia, got some friends that I'll pay to just kind of look after some things and take care of it while we're gone.
That's awesome, man. I love what you're doing. I love your story. I love this. This is great. Like, hey, it really is. It's been a while since I've had a bourbon right out of the bottle that I've like, I could drink this again, right? And this is fantastic. So thank you for sending this over and doing this. And man, like I wish you nothing but the best because you're a great dude and what you're doing is awesome.
Happy to come on and we appreciate you having me. And yeah, maybe we'll circle back this time next year. We'll see if we hit our goals of getting out there and doing all the things I was saying we want to do with the brand. So
yeah, man, absolutely. Keep in touch and
sure.
Anything you got going on, let us know. And we're gonna put this episode out with a Whiskey Wednesday, so we're gonna kind of go off the trail a little bit and put this out on a Wednesday and spotlight this because it deserves it.
Well, right on. We'll get you some discount codes and hopefully the viewers like it as much as you do.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And we'll push everything. We'll do it because this is great.
Much appreciated. Yeah, and if you hear of any events that are looking for sponsorship or send them our way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to get out there.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Well, Josh, thanks so much, man, for coming on and taking the time. I'm glad you jumped on, even though you're not feeling great. I appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to keep putting you off. I'm like, man, we're already like 10 days into this thing. I mean, I'm feeling better, but I think all the coughing, I'm going to not have a voice for a little while. So, and then happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah,
you got something to celebrate with.
I do. Hopefully it makes it that long.
Yeah, well, we can get you another one on the way.
Sounds good. All right, Josh. Well, have a great night, buddy. We'll chat soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good one.
See ya. Well, there you have it, everyone. Our conversation with American West Spirit Company. What they're doing over there in Colorado is badass. And, it's one of those things where it's like, support these guys. The whiskey was great. The bourbon was great for those of you that are listening that are just going to be assholes. It was just really good. I love what they're doing. I love the style. I love the aesthetic. I love the taste. Great owners, great founders, great everything. So go check them out. Again, remember, go to their website, AmericanWestSpirits.com, Whiskey 20, the 20, Whiskey 20. Checkout code, get 20% off your order. For our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday for a regular episode, for another episode. Cheers, guys.